What's up? What's up? What's up, man? YouTube, what's good with you? You were tuned in to yet another episode. This is Payday Boxing. We're here to talk that shit. I'm about to take y'all to church here in a minute, but before I go ahead and do all that, let me let everybody know this is a brand new YouTube channel. Make sure you like the video if you like the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're going to be giving you guys some old boxing talk, man. That's what we're here to do. And this is Payday Boxing, so we're going to be talking about them payday fights, you feel me? So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this thing here. This video, we here to talk about none other than the return. Keith, one-time Thurman, making his return back into the boxing ring here. The man has been out of the ring for almost a full 2 years. And so we're here to go ahead and talk about that there. So, like I said, man, Keith Thurman returning back to the ring. This is his first fight since March the 4th of 2017. He will be fighting January the 26th, that is this coming Saturday, against none other than the Riverside Rocky, Josesito Lopez. All right. So let's go ahead and get into that. You know, it's fight week. We're going to go ahead and hype this fight up a little bit, something. We're going to talk about this thing here. So, like we said here, challenging the champion because, as it appears, Keith Thurman is still the champion to this day. You know, it may seem odd that he hasn't been in the ring for damn near 2 years, but he still got the belt. You know, he's still the WBA super welterweight champion as it stands to this day. So let's go ahead and introduce the challenger. We got Josesito Lopez. He is 5'9.5". He's got a current record of 36 wins, 7 losses, 19 wins by knockout, 3 losses by knockout. And then of course we have the reigning WBA welterweight, the super champion. The WBA super champion. You know how that goes with the WBA. Keith Thurman, 28-0, still got his own, ain't afraid to let it go. If you can beat me, beat me. 22 wins coming by knockout, no losses on his record, no draws. The man is still undefeated to this day, so put some respect on Keith Thurman's name. And let's go ahead and get into this little fight here coming up with Mr. Josesito Lopez, the Riverside Rocky. Is this going to be Josesito Lopez's Rocky moment? Honestly, we don't know. We really don't know. It could be. It's also a chance he get knocked the fuck out. And why is that? Well, let's go ahead and get into this thing here. So, Josesito Lopez, what does his resume look like? Well, it looks like this. He's lost some fights against some other prospect fighters, but really what ends up happening with Josesito Lopez, or at least is what's been the case so far in his career as a 34-year-old fighter. You know, he is a little bit older than Keith Thurman. How old is Keith Thurman? Keith Thurman, oh, he was born in 88 too, so Keith Thurman should be turning 30 at the end of this year. Now, Josesito Lopez, what seems to have been his MO lately is that when he steps up to the top level or to the world level of competition, he tends to lose. And for that reason, that makes this an excellent fight for Keith Thurman to come back to, because obviously what that says to you and anybody watching is that if Keith Thurman is truly fighting back at the world level, then he should beat the Riverside Rocky, Josesito Lopez. Now, of course, Riverside Rocky can always have him a Rocky moment. You can never discount that. Anybody has a chance in boxing. You always have a puncher's chance. But let's take a look at some of Josesito Lopez's recent losses. Now, he lost to Andre Berto in 2015. That was his most recent loss. So that was 2015 is 2019. So that was close to 4 years ago. Where he lost to Andre Berto. He also lost to Marcos Maidana back in 2013. He lost to Canelo Alvarez. Obviously, he was going to lose to Canelo Alvarez. He lost to Canelo back in 2012, and then he also happened to lose to Jesse Vargas, who was 16-0 at the time, back in 2011. Those are pretty much his notable losses. He also had some losses against some nobodies a guy named Wes Ferguson back in 2006. He also lost to a Rodrigo Lopez back in 2003. And that's pretty much Josesito Lopez's career. He's been in there with a lot of good fighters. He'll go in there. He'll lose to the great fighters or to the world level fighters. They'll knock him down a peg. He'll build himself back up to get back in there with another world fighter, and then they'll knock him back down a peg. He'll build himself back up, and then he gets knocked down a peg. That's kind of been the pattern of his career thus far. Now, we're all familiar with Keith Thurman, Mr. One Time, or, depending on who you ask, Mr. Run Time, Mr. Out of Time, Mr. You Ain't Fighting on Our Time, Keith Thurman. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's been way too damn long for the WBA champion to not have fought. A lot of people will say that this man should have been stripped of his title, you know, because not defending your title for damn near a whole 2 years, that shit is just unacceptable. The man's been holding up the welterweight division. But at the same time, we must acknowledge, as the WBA super champion, this man is the biggest X factor in the welterweight division, bar none, hands down, without question. So, that said, if Keith Thurman comes back 100%, I think he easily beats Josesito Lopez. There's no chance, no way, no how that Josesito Lopez has a chance to beat this guy if, and again, if Keith Thurman comes back at 100%. If Keith Thurman is Mr. KOs for life, I gotta ain't afraid to let it go. If you can beat me, Keith Thurman, he probably gonna knock out Josesito Lopez. But the thing is that the man's been out of the ring for 2 years, so we honestly don't know if he's still that guy or not. For all we know, Keith Thurman could be somebody else. You know, we know he's gotten married. We don't know if his wife has had any children yet, but hey, who knows? Maybe she's pregnant or some shit. You know how it goes when you get married. You get all excited. You got a new wife. So you're out there consummating your marriage and shit, and before you know it, you got babies, and then the bitch got you. Nah, I'm just playing. But Keith Thurman, we all know he's been parading around with his wife. He's been vacationing. He's been having a good time, been enjoying his money, enjoying his life. And a lot of people have questioned whether or not he has the heart for boxing anymore. I'm not going to say anything about this man, you know, in a lot of the hearsay and the speculation about Errol Spence Jr. We'll save that for another video, of course. But we have to acknowledge that Keith Thurman has been missing. You know what I'm saying? I just found out, you know, the same people who make the Cat in the Hat book, they just came out with a new book series. But instead of Where's Waldo, they titled it Where's Keith Thurman? You know, Where's One Time? And you got to look through the little pictures. It's got a whole bunch of other boxers in the book. And you got to look through the pictures and try to find Keith Thurman. You know what I'm saying? You got to look for the dude with the little ponytail, you know? And that's kind of been the take on Keith Thurman lately. He's been missing. He's been out of action. But, hey, the welterweight division needs you, Keith. We missed you, Keith. You know what I'm saying? We just mad because you've been gone. That's all it is, bruh. We need Keith Thurman to come back. We need Keith Thurman to be 100%. And unfortunately, and I got love for the Riverside Rocky, but we need Keith Thurman to whoop that ass. That's the Keith Thurman that we need in boxing right now today. The more players that we have in the welterweight division, the better. And I'm of the mindset that this welterweight division right here, right now, this could possibly be a historic welterweight, a historic era in the welterweight division. You got Keith Thurman, you got Errol Spence Jr., you got Bud Crawford, and then you got those other guys. You know, we don't know if it's Sean Porter. We don't know if it's Danny Garcia. Obviously, we know Adrian Broner is right there on the gate, holding the gates open, keeping the gate. You know, that's Adrian Broner right there. So you got to get through Adrian Broner first at the gate. You know, Adrian Broner standing there right at the gate, defending the gate, you know, for the real welterweight fighters. On the other side of the gate, you know, you got I'd probably say Sean Porter, you know, obviously over Danny Garcia. He beat him, rightfully. You got to give a man his credit, you know. So you got Sean Porter over there on the other side of the Adrian Broner gate. He beat Adrian Broner too. You got Sean Porter on the other side of the gate. You got hopefully Keith Thurman on the other side of the gate. We all know the two big dogs on that side of the gate. You know, the pit bull, the Rottweiler on the other side of the gate. Errol Spence, Bud Crawford. And they making a welterweight division pop, man. So I would love to see Keith Thurman come up in this thing and win in spectacular fashion and announce his return back into the welterweight division. Why? Because I feel like a lot of people won't say it, man, but Keith Thurman would be a problem for a lot of these welterweights. At least Keith Thurman that we knew him as previously. Keith Thurman at 100% is a dangerous ass fighter. That man is no easy out for any welterweight. I don't care who it is. The only welterweight in the world who I really would favor over Keith Thurman decisively would be Errol Spence. And the only reason I would favor Errol Spence over Keith Thurman is because, and this is trending into, another topic, but the only reason I would favor Errol Spence over Keith Thurman is because we all know, or we've all seen, Keith Thurman get in there. We saw him get in there with Luis Collazo. We saw Luis Collazo, a southpaw, a lefty. We saw Luis Collazo hit Keith Thurman with that body shot. And we saw Keith Thurman, after he got hit with that body shot, we saw him on his bike. You know what I'm saying? He went down to the park, went down to the bike path, got on his little mountain bike, and started pedaling like a motherfucker after he got hit with that body shot by Luis Collazo. Now, we all know Errol Spence is the body snatcher. So that being said, that's why I tend to favor Errol Spence over Keith Thurman. That's why a lot of people have been saying the things that they have been saying about Errol Spence in relation to Keith Thurman, or Keith Thurman in relation to Errol Spence suddenly showing up to the division, and Keith Thurman getting ghosts like Pac-Man or some old other shit. You know what I'm saying? And he disappeared on that ass. So Keith Thurman, man, if you see this video, we need you back in the welterweight division. Starting off with whooping Josesito Lopez's ass. No disrespect to Josesito Lopez, because I got a lot of love for the Riverside Rocky, but at the end of the day, he is not a world-class fighter. He's not a world-level fighter. When it comes to competing against world-level fighters, we see his resume. When he gets in with those guys, he loses. I'm sorry. This is no shade towards him. It's just me calling it how I see it. This is just what it is. Keith Thurman, on the other hand, Keith Thurman has the ability to be a factor against anyone. I feel like you can match Keith Thurman with any of the top welterweights, and he's going to present problems for them. If you match Keith Thurman up against Bud Crawford, he's a problem for Bud Crawford. You obviously match Keith Thurman up with Sean Porter. We've already seen that fight, but we know Keith Thurman is a problem for Sean Porter. You know what I'm saying? And truth be told, I would really love to see Keith Thurman, Bud Crawford. That's actually, to be honest with you guys, a lot of people say, oh, Bud Spence. I want to see Bud Thurman. That's the fight that I want to see more than anything. And the reason I say that, man, is because you look at a Terrence Crawford, right? What does Terrence Crawford got? He's got all the tools. He's a well-rounded fighter. He can move. He can box. He's got the IQ, you know what I'm saying? He'll mix it up. He a dog. He's not afraid to get in there and go to war with you. Keith Thurman has a lot of that same mentality, but Keith Thurman can also move with Bud Crawford. So to me, and that's the type of fights I like to see. I love me a good chess match. You get two A-level fighters with A-level IQs, and that's aside from his power, aside from his movement, that's Keith Thurman's biggest strength. He has a high boxing IQ. That's Terrence Crawford's strength. He has a high boxing IQ. So that's why I feel like you put those two dudes in the ring right there, we're going to see a high-level chess match. I think that matchup right there, that's a trilogy. That right there is a trilogy. On top of the fact that Keith Thurman's been talking all that shit about Terrence Crawford, shitting on his resume, shitting on the fact that he don't think he's a factor up at 147. Everybody's talking about Bud Spence. I think Bud need to be on Thurman's neck. He need to be on Thurman's neck. You know what I'm saying? So, and I'm not saying he shouldn't be going after Spence too, but I really feel like after all the shit that Thurman been talking about Bud need to be on Thurman's neck. Like, I ain't a factor at welterweight. Come see me then. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I'm easy work. I ain't done shit. My resume ain't nothing at 147. Come see me then. That's the fight that I want to see. You know what I'm saying? Two A-level fighters in there, getting in there, mixing it up. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, that's what I got to say about that. But this weekend is Keith Thurman. It's Josesito Lopez. Make sure you guys tune in. I forget which channel it's on, but I know it's a PBC fight, so it's either on Fox or Fox Sports 1 or one of those channels. So make sure y'all checking for that fight, man. Keith Thurman and his return to boxing. Hopefully, it's a spectacular return. I'm rooting for a spectacular return because of all the reasons that I just said. I would love to see another player come into the welterweight division who's able to shake things up. So that's why I will be rooting for Keith Thurman. And if Keith Thurman struggles for any reason with Josesito Lopez, that's a problem. That is a real big problem. And if Josesito Lopez pulls the upset of the decade, everybody going to be chasing Josesito Lopez down and get that belt. And that's just what it is. So this is another episode of PayDay Boxing. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel. Leave me some comments in the comment section. Let me know what you think about the Keith Thurman Josesito Lopez fight. Let the church go ahead and say amen. Till the next video, I'm gone, y'all. Peace.